Lesson 56, the slope-intercept equation of a line. So when we have an equation of a line, it's y equals, and then we can do m times x plus b. The m, that number in front of the x, the coefficient of x, is called the slope, and the y-intercept is that last number. It will cross the y-axis at 0, b. So the line will go through that point. If you remember from previous lessons, the slope is a fraction where we write the rise over run. So let me give you an example. We have this equation, y equals 3x plus 2. So the slope is equal to 3, which we can write a rise over run, so it could be 3 over 1. And the y-intercept, which we call b, is a positive 2. So it's going to cross the graph at 0, 2. So we're going to graph the equation using the y-intercept and the slope. So if we put in the y-intercept, so we go to 0 and up 2, that's a point on the line. And if you remember, the slope is how you get from one point to another point. So we're going to go up 3 for our rise, and then we're going to run to the right 1. So if we went down 3 and to the left 1, that's also a positive 3. Negative 2, negative 3 divided by negative 1 is slope of 3. And that's our line. Now if we wanted to do a table of values, which we don't have to if we know how to graph with the slope-intercept form, we could pick numbers 1, 0, negative 1. If we plugged in 1 for x, we'd get 3 plus 2, which is 5. If we plugged in 0 for x, we'd get 0 plus 2, which is 2. This right here is the y-intercept. And if we plug in negative 1, we get 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. And you can see that we have negative 1, 0, 2, and 1, 5. So this is just helpful to be able to graph without doing a table. So here's another example. Y equals 1/2 x minus 1. So we could say our slope, or m, is 1/2. So we're going to rise 1 and go over 2 from our point. And our y-intercept is negative 1, which we can write as the point 0, negative 1. So when we graph it, we start with the y-intercept, because that's a point right on the line, 0, negative 1. And then we're going to, from that point, we're going to go rise 1 and to the right 2. So we go up 1, to the right 2. Put a line through it with arrows. You got to have arrows on your lines. And that's the line graphed. Now, one thing we have to remember is that a horizontal line, remember it looks like this, has a slope of 0. So it's going to be y equals 0 times x plus b. And remember that 0 times x is just 0, so y equals b. So when you have an equation, y equals a number, so let's say y equals 2, we're going to graph that. It's going to be a horizontal line. And remember that the b equals 2, so that's the y-intercept, 0, 2. So we go up 2, graph the point. Now our slope is 0, so we know that it's a horizontal line. So we just draw a line right through that number, and that's our graph, y equals 2. Now we're going to do a vertical line, and if you remember, a vertical line has an undefined slope. Remember the car that fell off the cliff? So this has an undefined slope. In this case, you won't even see a y in your graph. It'll be a line x equals c. So if you have, if you're asked to graph, here's an example, x equals 2, you're going to come over to where x equals 2, and you're going to draw a vertical line. So you don't see a y, you just see an x, so you know that's a vertical line. And that's the graph of x equals 2. And that's the end of the lesson.